everything we need. Yeah. The team continued.
I know how to see a whack MC when he mustn't, but I just back away real cool, no fussing. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds, open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. The people will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, unless we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. So listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities, several different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey, kinda like Sigourney. Implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. Here's the card, they call me Uncle Vigor. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I be the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relax behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange. The whole concept, yo, is good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics. Yes, atomic, it bleeds like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the robotic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in the prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable dictions. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Every dog chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb a ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like slatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. The father is the one who protects ya, and the mother, she will never neglect ya. To divine nature, the people respect ya, and in this way I deliver my lecture.
Alrighty. Yes, y'all, we back at it again. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me check the audio real quick. Hope everybody's doing well on this October 4th day. It must be, actually, some parts of the world are still the 3rd, and that's all good. But over here in the EU, it is October 4th, 9:41 a.m. That's the morning time, right? And yeah, so we surviving. You know, there's been a lot of talk about drones, drone attacks in the EU. I guess you could call it that. Drone happenings, you know, Russian drones coming into EU territory, NATO territory, actually. You know, you don't hear Trump really talking a whole lot about that since he's a NATO member. He's really a flunky, what you call the guy who's running protection. You know, he's like what do they call that? The fullback for the running back. You know what I'm saying? Trump is like the fullback for Putin right now, for Putin's aggression. You know, he's running interference. And the best way to do that is, as they say, if you can't beat him, join him. Right. So that's what this would be. This would be Trump. I would describe him as a Putin joining NATO, because you can't beat them. So if you can't beat them, then join them. So he got his pawn, which is basically Trump. But in any case, Everybody knows that. But this episode is called Lying Ass Caroline Leavitt, right? Press secretary for lying ass Trump. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep it real with you. Lying ass pornographic Trump, even, you know, because Trump is in some and adult, minor. I'm talking about pornograph, like get your ass locked up, because this would be the guy, you know, when they're out there, and even the Republican Party. Child pornography in the Republican Party. I mean, they just keep having people fall off left and right. And it's no surprise that their president would be the head of the party itself, that figurehead, the theological leader, the God of the Republicans. Pretty much, it's no surprise. I mean, it is poetry. It makes total sense that his best friend for 15 years was Jeffrey Epstein, the most prolific child trafficker in U.S. history. So she's out here capping. You could also call her capping ass Caroline Leavitt. Capping Caroline. She's capping. Yes, indeed, she's capping. Oh, no, she's capping like capping and capping. Yeah, capping ass Caroline. Capping for Trump. Oh shit. But in any case, for those of you that's checking out what's on the screen right now, that's one of my singles. It's called Prairie Dogs Ultra Mix by AKA, V Media, AKA Empirical. That's me. And produced by myself also, with a little help of my squad. You know what I'm saying? You might get some shout outs in that record when you hear it, but you can get it on YouTube, all the platforms. But in any case, Spotify and all that shit. But in any case, yo, capping ass Caroline Leavitt. I don't know what else to say, but this is the most pathetic regime in U.S. history. I mean, it is what it is. It is not going to get any better. It just doesn't seem to matter to anybody. People know what to expect out of Trump at this point, and it's actually pretty foul. But let me see here. Is that? Oh, I got the wrong one. Let me pull this off the screen real quick. Is it this one? Where is it at? Hold on. This. Boom, and this. Okay, so let's get back to capping ass Caroline. Here she is. Caroline Leavitt. What did I do to the screen? Did I do something here? Let me see, y'all. Here we go. Did I do something wrong here? Let me just try to fix that real quick. What is happening here to this on screen? It got off a little bit. I don't know why that is. Can I transform it? All right. Well, in any case, we don't need to see all her face. So, but in any case, here's Caroline Leavitt. She's been capping. Let's bring it back. Let's listen to her cap, and then she's going to get questions, and they're even more ridiculous. So, you know how she answers questions. She's like a little dictator herself. So
Republicans are fully unified behind passing nonpartisan clean funding bill, the exact same bill that Democrats approved back in March to reopen the federal government. But those same Senate Democrats are now voting against this clean funding bill and keeping the people's government closed. I understand Democrats will have an opportunity very shortly here to change course, and we hope that they will. There are significant personal impacts.
That sounds like, to me, it sounds like she's begging Democrats to come back. That's how these authoritarians and cappers beg. They try to make it sound like, the other side is like desperate, but that's really what she is. She's desperate right now, because on any other day of the week, they wouldn't fucking be hoping Democrats come back for a mother effing thing. And that's exactly how they treat people. That's exactly how ICE is treating people on the street. F them kids. Yes, that is how this party behaves. So sorry, Caroline, but I really pray Democrats do not come back to the table for anything else but these MFers submitting to the fact that guess who pays your mother effing bills? It's not just fucking MAGA people. So no matter what you doing, you better act like you work for the rest of us. Act while you still got a life.
on millions of Americans
and a country
as a result of this current government shutdown. The 1.3 million men and women of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force who serve honorably and put their lives on the line to defend us all are not being paid. Military families are already seeking out food assistance because of financial anxiety caused by this Democrat shutdown. According to new reporting from the Military Times, staff members at the Armed Services YMCA food pantry distribution location near Fort Hood in Texas found a line of military families stretched around the side of the building yesterday at 5 in the morning. According to the staff who work there, that is, quote, not happened ever. They've already had a 34% increase this week over past weeks. President Trump and Republicans fundamentally believe we have...
So, her issue is that's never happened. How much shit in this administration has never happened before? All of a sudden, they care about something that's never happened before? Look, people told you what would happen. And your president said to Congress, don't you fucking work with no MFing Democrats on nothing or I will attack you. That's what happened. That's what actually happened. And now they're back at the... See, so what is this? This is like the carrot and the stick. You know, Trump is the stick and Caroline, she's really a stick too because her invitations are invitations that only a very weak person would accept, because a normal person would say, fuck you, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. That's what a normal person would say. Excuse my language, ladies, but you see how bad this woman is. Now, a normal person would say, F you, but that's Caroline Leavitt is their version of the carrot. Look, you stupid little bastard, you ain't shit. But we're offering you an opportunity this one time to come to the table, you know, or everybody else's problems that you told us about and you always are normally talking about. We're going to put that in your face and gaslight you now and say, oh, look at these people losing their jobs. Yo, how can you care about one American losing your job, getting thrown out on the street when you don't care about the other one? Answer me that. Why would one American say, hey, this is hurting us. We're getting thrown out on the street. We're losing everything because of your policies. And you don't give a shit about that. And then the other American now, all of a sudden, hey, we're getting hurt. Why should you see, if you didn't give a fuck about the other Americans, why would those other Americans give a fuck about you? Answer me that. Put a 1 in the chat for the people that are American. Only if you're American. Only if you're American. Only if you're American. Put a 1 in the chat if you care about all Americans, no matter what political party they have. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. I guarantee you the trolls don't. They can't put a 1. And even if they put a 1, they'd be trolling. You see what I'm saying? Because what we have learned in a very short period of time, in just 1 year, is that when one group of people make the argument that, hey, these policies will hurt us. This shit just happened. This already happened earlier this year. It happened last year too. You see what I mean? When one party says people are going to be hurt, thrown out on the street, Republicans was like, fuck them. They don't matter. And less than a year ago, that's exactly, the other party said the exact same thing. People are going to get hurt. People are thrown out on the street. And this same Republican Party said, F them. Wait till we get power. We're going to do it again. That's what they fucking said. And now that they have power, they've been doing it. They did a whole lot more. They raided the Treasury and said, F you. They cut jobs and said, F you. Right in people's faces, even though the person that's firing people going in there don't even really, that's not even technically legal. You know, and to add insult to injury, you let a person with 3 passports, 3 different citizenships do it. Elon Musk. Now, it's not an American with 1 citizenship who kicked Americans out of their jobs. It's a motherfucker with 3. To add insult to injury. Yes. Yes. And now people are supposed to care. So how is it possible to care about one group of Americans when they didn't fucking care about you? And I'm not saying that the people affected by Trump's shit right now in this next wave are just, are not, one party or the other. They could be any party, because the Republicans have hurt all parties, but it's only the Democrats that have been saying, yo, these Republicans are getting smashed by Republican policy. Poor white Americans that voted for Trump, they're out there in public saying, yo, you're killing us, man. You're killing us. Stop it. And these folks are saying, hey, able-bodied people need to get their ass up to work. You heard Mike Jackson say that. Able-bodied people, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't see the craziness in that logic. So why do you pay federal taxes if at some time, if you ever get an injury, now you disqualify? If somehow you ever lose your job, now you disqualify? Why the fuck pay federal taxes at all if that's how it's going to work? You see what I'm saying? And these people are doing it on the taxpayer's dime. But let's listen to her capping ass some more.
Have a sacred responsibility to protect and provide for our military families with the resources.
People were talking about the military been on the street the whole goddamn time. People are coming back from war with one legs and living on the motherfucking street, and they out there kicking them out of their tents in Washington, D.C., saying, F you. That's who the homeless people are. Fucking people that have come out of the military and can't afford to have a home. That's who they are. That's who they been. They either military people that went to institutions and need mental help and are thrown out on the street because they can't get a job because they're mentally affected and can't get no fucking help because the government doesn't fucking want to fund the goddamn the veterans hospitals and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? These people, all of a sudden, I mean, it's almost like Caroline Leavitt hasn't been around and how old is she even? She's like, what, 30, approaching 40? It's almost like she has never lived in the United States of America and heard any party constantly begging for veterans' rights when they come home. Constantly begging for elderly, constantly begging for the disabled, constantly begging for the unemployed or the people that have the least. It's almost like she was not even living in a country that had none of those problems. No, fuck you. You've been living in a country that's been treating American citizens who happen to be poor and homeless like shit, and you've been feeling good because it ain't you. And you've been walking by their motherfucking asses every day, just turning your backs on them. That's what you fucking been doing. And now she wants to make this flimsy ass argument to the world, like the world ain't been watching, like the world don't know the United States has more fucking homeless people than any other industrialized motherfucking nation.
They need to thrive. If Democrats believe in this very simple premise too, they should end this shutdown immediately. Unfortunately, this
F you, Caroline Leavitt. Democrats don't end no motherfucking shutdown because they said fuck you when you went into the meeting. When they left out of the meeting, these Republicans didn't even, with Trump, when the two congressional members went in there to talk to Trump, the Trump administration don't even have the nerve to want to show you the video. They don't even want you to know what really even happened. And then they went up there and made AI things confusing a black African American with a Mexican American or a Hispanic American. Like that's the same thing. Sure, sometimes there's intersections. Sometimes you get people that have one parent that's from the other ethnicity and all that. But this was a joke. This was just to troll the man and to mock his own ethnicity and to mock his own political stance. Just because he's not hating Hispanics doesn't mean he's not proud of his African American heritage. Just like you flimsy ass bimbo, Caroline Leavitt. Aren't you proud of your hair? I mean, what if everybody started doing memes about Caroline Leavitt and shit? You know, all of a sudden making her out to be a Somali pirate. Shouldn't we do that? Wouldn't that be fucking funny? You know, or making her ass out to be what? What else could it be? You know, Joan of Arc. Next, let's burn her ass on a stake in a, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but yo, this is what they do when they don't want to do right by the American people, they start attacking people's ethnicity. That's where they always go for the distraction. Like it's a game. Yo, it ain't no game and you're going to have to pay. The party's going to end soon.
Severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers, infants, and shut down immediately. Unfortunately, the severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers.
Oh, she could barely get that shit out. Mothers. Yeah, you could be a mother one day. If you could be. Yeah, your type, your gender. You care about mothers now? Well, abortion has mothers across the country from every background literally dying because they can't get a proper abortion just because the law said that a fetus, as long as the heartbeat is beating, it doesn't matter what it's doing to the mother's body. It doesn't even matter if the toxins coming out of it are killing the mother's body. No, she has to have a proper birth of a fetus that's slowly dying and rotting in her body. Yes, that's what these MFers did. And they're sitting there laughing, acting like they give a fuck about mothers. Let me tell you, white women, black women, Hispanic women, African American, Africans, migrants, women, Irish American women, Italian American women, they don't give a fuck about your mothers. You better get it through your thick head. This regime never gave a fuck about your mothers. Trump doesn't give a fuck about women. Get it through your head. Women are scum to him. And what you are watching is a woman who's willing to get paid personally for someone who trashes women every fucking day of the week. Not just with his own mouth, but with their laws. They want women to be second after men, period, in every single goddamn way. They want you to be fucking slaves.
There's infants in low-income families who rely on government-run.
Did she just say low-income families? Low-income families ain't been suffering for how long in the United States of America? Did she just actually have the nerve to utter that word? Was that the first fucking time she even noticed that low-income families exist or even have a right to anything? So look, low-income families, they don't deserve health care. You see the hypocrisy of this? While she's saying this, you're going to hear MAGA Mike Johnson come right after her and talk about able-bodied men need to get a job if they need health care. Able-bodied men. Where the fuck do they think able-bodied men live or come from? Unable, able-bodied men that don't have a job. That's what I mean. That's what Mike Johnson is talking about. Able-bodied men, you need to get a job before you get health care. It's not going to be on us. So MAGA Mike Johnson is going to go out there and say that right after her or right before her. And now she's talking about low-income families like she gives a fuck. What do you think a low-income family's fucking problem is, Caroline? Health fucking care. That's one of them. If you go for her shit, you deserve a foot put up your ass.
Food assistance will be in jeopardy if the WIC program runs out of money in the weeks ahead. The more than 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that Americans fly safely.
They fired air traffic controllers on day one in the thousands. No mention about where they were going to get health care. No mention about where they were going to get a job. Nothing.
Safely in airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which could leave families without necessary help if a disaster strikes.
Notice how the one group that she really wants to say, but she ain't going to say, is ICE. Yes, ICE, y'all. Hey, let's have a party. Yeah, fuck ICE. Fuck ICE. You pathetic ICE pieces of shit that won't even show your motherfucking faces because you're such cowards. You don't even want people in your own fucking neighborhood. You don't even want your own fucking mother knowing what kind of rotten ass job you have or your fucking kids. That's why they wear the mask. You ain't getting paid to harass people now, bitch. You're not getting paid. You have to go out there like everybody else and wonder if you're going to get fucking paid. You ever felt that before? Because loads of Americans feel that every fucking day on a normal day of the week. Damn, am I going to get fucking paid? This new law they passed, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Welcome to the club, motherfuckers. Welcome to the club. How do you like it now? And I, for one, have no motherfucking mercy. Like, I know you deserve what you voted fucking for, and you're going to get every inch of it.
And we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical
Did she just fucking say hurricane season? And we're in the middle of hurricane season. This administration came in saying it had a mandate to gut FEMA, to stop giving funds and assistance to places in the United States that experience fire disasters like California, flooding disasters like Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, all these, Florida, flat out. And he's been denying motherfuckers. New York, East Coast states experience flooding too, but luckily, because they have more industry, higher paying jobs, higher paying minimum wage, the state is able to collect a lot in taxes too and kind of fill in some of the gaps. But in these red states, you're totally dependent on blue states paying federal taxes so you can get some of the blue state federal taxes raised to help your state too. And look at these people. Look at her acting like she cares all of a sudden about flooding. You didn't give a fuck about flooding last week or the month before when people were begging you, when Trump was out there talking about, we don't think FEMA should be, assisting states anymore. We think states should be doing it. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to we think states should be doing it on their own? Whatever happened to that, Caroline?
And airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which...
Ooh, it's in danger. What about... Oh, you care? You care, huh? Why don't you just let states do it on their own, Caroline? Why don't you just let states do it on their own? That's what Trump said about FEMA. What's wrong with that? Nobody else can say that? Look, she can't even look in the camera while she's saying this stuff, y'all. She can't.
Could leave families without necessary...
Look, she can't. Look, is she just trying to get it off? It's just a bunch of rambling lies and shit to get out there. And she has a cross on. She has a cross on. Like, me, myself, I don't believe in verbatim what's written in any of these religious books. I believe it's better to be a student of history and man and earth and science and universe and nature before you start trying to dissect what is in these religious books. But obviously, she is claiming to be a person that believes those things. Okay, what would Jesus do? Jesus was a goddamn immigrant. Jesus said, feed the poor, feed the helpless, house the homeless. Don't quote me verbatim, but you know what I'm saying. Look at her up there lying. And he also said, by the way, doesn't some of the 10 Commandments say don't lie? Like, goddamn, they don't give a F about anything in the 10 Commandments. Goddamn, Elon Musk stole Steve Miller's wife. Yo, they just, this regime is crumbling. I'm telling you, if they make it through 10 days more, I don't think they will. I think they inside, of course they like to project strength. So she's just always confident, even if it's a motherfucking lie. Even if she knows no one's going to believe this shit, she goes out there and gives it her best to just throw it out there really strong. Yo, this regime is crumbling. And Peter Thiel and Elon Musk know it. And Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are trying to position their next move because they know Trump is fucking falling. They've already planned J.D. Vance taking over, but J.D. Vance can't cut it either. J.D. Vance cannot cut it either. But this is all they got. Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they put everything into this. And they know if they do not control Congress, they lose. All their little thieving petty schemes go up in the window for nothing when they could have just been decent people to the American taxpayer. When they could have just been decent. Instead, they call people that wanted decency beggars of their own tax dollars that they pay to motherfuckers like you. You could have done it differently, but no, you don't have to be decent, do you?
Necessary help if a disaster strikes, and we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical services offered at Social Security field offices are reduced for senior citizens. And
didn't the Democrats just say that last year when they passed the big, ugly, beautiful bill? Didn't they just say that when they were talking, when the Republicans and Elon Musk were talking about, hey, people are scamming off Social Security. They're scamming. They still haven't explained anything. What did their findings discover? There's nothing that they said has ever been validated by one news agency, not by one government agency, not by one study group, not one.
Disabled Americans. Helpful transition assistance programs are not being provided for veterans who fought to defend our country and are now trying to re-enter civilian life.
So what about the homeless veterans? What about the homeless veterans? People have been talking for homeless veterans the whole time, talking about they deserve dignity too. And what did she say? Nothing. They just ignored it the entire time.
The economic consequences of this shutdown are piling up every day. Policymakers, markets, and even the Federal Reserve are flying blind at a key juncture because BLS and BEA data are on hold until the government reopens. Democrats shutting down the federal government to give health care to illegal aliens could lead to lower growth and higher unemployment rates for Americans. According to a new memo from the Council of Economic Advisors, the U.S. economy could lose $15 billion of growth domestic product each week. Every single week, the Democrat shutdown extends, with a month-long shutdown leading to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. Small businesses are likely to encounter delays in receiving federal loans. Mortgage applications will likely shrink. And just this morning, Business Roundtable, an association of more than 200 CEOs of Americans' leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy, put out a statement urging Congress to pass the clean CR that will once again come before them in the Senate floor in just a few moments. Quote, a fully functioning government is essential for American businesses, workers, and consumers, while policymakers continue working on a full-year funding package and other pressing issues. Again, that is a quote from the Business Roundtable. What's clear is that the Democrats' actions...
Yeah. Anybody think there needs to be anything else for the American people? What do you think? Do you think healthcare should be expanded? Do you think healthcare should be expanded? Or do you think it should be reduced like the Republican Party called for regarding, if specifically, let's talk about MAGA Mike Johnson. MAGA Mike Johnson says able-bodied men shouldn't have access to Medicaid or Medicare. If you think able-bodied men should not get access to Medicaid or Medicare, put a 1 in the chat. If you think able-bodied men should, because sometimes, just like everybody else, able-bodied people lose their motherfucking job. If you think able-bodied people should get access to health care, Medicare, and Medicaid, put a 2 in the chat. If you don't, put a 1. If you do, put a 2 in the chat. Because, see, you're witnessing history right now. Because you are about to lose your mother effing job, too. So do you want Medicare when you lose your MFing job? If you I mean, literally, you see how fast the tables turn? Before last week when we was talking about Medicaid and Medicare, people was like, nah, fuck that. I got a job. Able-bodied people shouldn't get fucking health care. See how quickly the tables turn now? That able-bodied person might be you too. You see? Now, should you get it? Let's find out. Now, keep in mind, I'm an American citizen, born and raised. Both sides of my family goes back to the colonial period. But I live outside of the U.S., so I don't have a dog in this race. If you could hate American citizens all you motherfucking want. You could talk bad about the able-bodied men all you effing fucking want. I don't fucking care. I have universal health care. So you can vote for the destruction of your own motherfucking family if you want. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. But my kids got health care. So vote. Go out there and vote. 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 I support you in your vote no matter what you vote for. Why? Because it doesn't fuck with me.
Count to an intentional sabotage of our country and our people by shutting down our government. This madness must end. President Trump and Republicans.
Oh, should this madness end? Should this madness end? I don't know. Do you agree? Because maybe if the madness doesn't end, maybe you will lose your motherfucking job too. And then maybe you won't have health care. Like MAGA Mike Johnson seems to think. Like this administration seems to think. Although for some reason she's saying strange shit like this when she knows her party is not for people without a job having Medicare or Medicaid. Very simple.
Republicans are calling on Democrats to reopen the government immediately on behalf of the American public.
Except Democrats. First of all, Republicans claim every day of the week, this administration claims every day of the week to fucking hate any state and its people that have anyone close to a Democrat leading it or in office or a liberal in any form of state government or, on the governorship, the congressional member, state or federal. If you got any representative that is dim, they're sending the military out to your state. They're talking bad about who you are as an American, even though you're a taxpayer. They've been coming after you the whole time. And now that it's expanding to others, do you want to care? Do you care now? Oh, that's interesting. Sounds hypocritical to me if you change your mind. If you're a Republican and you change your mind now that you might not have a mother effing job, now that your check may not come through on time, if you change your mind, you might be a fucking hypocrite and deserve to be called out. You might want to change how you fucking vote.
We need our 5 Democrat senators to do the right thing and to stop this shutdown.
And I'm going to tell you, if there are any Democrats, if there's 5, now I'm not going to say any because there's always one. There's always one. You know what I'm saying? There's always one sellout in every party, no matter what. One is not a lot, right? One doesn't dictate much. But if there's 5 Democrats that change over this offer to the table, I'm leaving the fucking Democratic Party myself. I've been in the Democratic Party for a minute, although I don't vote because somebody's a Dem. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense because obviously even among Dems, they don't agree on all things. You have different Democratic candidates that run on different things, that put different things center of their platform, no matter if it's on state level or federal level every fucking year. So what sense would that make? You have to vote for people that say things you need, not because of their party. But it just so happens that Democrats unilaterally agree that healthcare and education always need to be expanded. Okay, housing always needs to be expanded. Okay, so that's why I'm a Democrat. But if there's 5 motherfucking Democrats that go back to the table with this goddamn offer, fuck you. I'm leaving that party.
Call your Democrat senator and tell them to vote yes to reopen the government. On another matter, despite the Democrat shutdown, President Trump's efforts to make America safe again continue. President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest places on earth, and he is committed to making this a reality. We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all
if you spam the chat, I'm just going to put you in timeout. I like the different views and everything, but just writing a word after word after word and then posting it takes away from other people too in the chat, yo. So
necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw...
Did Antifa attack the Capitol? Did Antifa threaten to kill Mike Pence? Nope. President Trump pardoned those people. All of them. The ones that threatened to kill Mike Pence, the ones that threatened to kill Nancy Pelosi, the ones that invaded violently the Capitol and attempted an insurrection to overthrow the election results. Your president, the one you're capping for, Caroline Leavitt, gave them all a pardon. So no one gives a fuck what you think. No one believes you.
Disturbing video footage of this last night. This is not peaceful protesting. This is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years.
If left-wing people are anarchists, what fucking difference does it make? If they pay federal taxes, that's what we're talking about. Are you representing them too? See, that's the thing about it. When you get paid your salary, Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, it's actually every working American that clocks in that's paying your salary. You're supposed to be helping all of them. You're supposed to be showing each and every one how them paying you this tax money helps you as a person. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're not doing something that strengthens infrastructure, daily life, something that affects all Americans, if you're not doing something to improve their lives, you're actually, you're basically like a welfare recipient yourself. You're getting money for nothing. You're able-bodied, you have a brain, but you're just not fucking providing anything, for the people that pay you. That's worse than being a poor person on welfare. You're a fucking rich person. You're a person getting a salary from the government and you're talking down to people when you yourself rely on the American people, all of them, whether they make $10,000 a year or $20,000 to whether they make $1 million or $5 million, everyone in between, you're actually depending on their check. You're getting a piece of their check. You're supposed to be representing them. You're supposed to be doing something good to make their life easier.
Leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ice field office.
It's so funny because Antifa terrorists are the only ones that don't seem to be able to get a real motherfucking federal report about. Can we get a federal report about who these fucking people are? Where are they? How many are they? It's just, this is the crazy shit about. This is crazy. Where are they at? Where they at? How many? Give us a number. Give us a number. Where do they live? What states do they live? Any Antifa live in Utah? Curious about that. Any Antifa live in Florida? Any of them live in where? Where's Caroline Leavitt from? Where do these people, they just, it's great. You may as well be saying, any other, fictitious group. You may as well just be saying the communists are coming. The communists are coming. Yeah, but where the fuck are they? Show people something conclusive, something people can go on, not just like some mythological figure, and this is
in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign.
Why does it matter when people violently entered the Capitol building, stormed the Capitol building, threatened to murder elected officials, and your president pardoned all of them? So why does it fucking matter? It is not a problem because your president said that behavior is acceptable, that those are good people. That's what he said. And if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If those are good people by the person who leads policy, which is Trump, when you try to point the finger the other direction, it doesn't work anymore.
As a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox.
Explosives like what? A bag of sugar? Like, what the fuck are they talking about? Explosives? Okay.
Officers berate their law-abiding neighbors.
I haven't seen one actual explosive. I'm sorry. What are they talking about? A Molotov cocktail? I haven't even seen that.
And have even rolled out a guillotine in front of.
Guillotine was rolled out in front of January 6th, in front of the Capitol building, threatening to hang Mike Pence. People were out there saying, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence, literally, hang Mike Pence. Yeah, and then they got on camera. You know why we saying hang Mike Pence is because Mike Pence, he's the one that's supposed to change the election results. He's supposed to say these results are no good and refuse them and keep Trump in power. That they explained the whole thing. What happened to them? They got a pardon. The president said they were good people. It was unfair. Caroline Leavitt, what you're doing is unfair. Does it matter now? Does it matter that someone thinks it's unfair, that a taxpayer thinks it's unfair? Probably not to you.
The ICE facility. And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has said.
Oh, look at her. And more people should be reporting on that. Yeah, boo-hoo. Oh, now you tell the media what to do, right? Oh, okay. Right. Because she's the White House press secretary. Now she got 2 jobs. Now she's the White House something, the person who sets up the meetings for Trump or some bullshit like this. And now she's going to be head of the media, telling the media what their role is too.
Law enforcement
she's the expert on all fronts.
Protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults.
Portland, the state itself said they don't want you sending in ICE or the military. They said that. They said it calmly, peacefully, in a public announcement that was televised everywhere across the globe. And yet you said, fuck no. You said, fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. This will end up good. Isn't that what you said? Oh, well, didn't listen, huh? I guess now you know what they're talking about when they said you don't want that. And it could get worse, but American people aren't stupid. They know that Trump has been trying to drag people into violence. He's been calling for violence while trying to the same time he's calling for right-wing violence, which has been happening. He's been trying to draw the left wing into violence by sending the military into their towns, where their elected officials say, no, please don't do that. That would be a violation of the Constitution. People don't want you here. You're not going to solve the problems that we have. We want your help, but we don't want you doing this. This will only make it worse. This is done to oppress us. This is meant to stop us from living our lives freely. This is meant to even stop. And, a lot of people say that Trump is basically trying to find ways to send the military out there so that when he robs the election and steals the election, they're already expecting an uprising, basically, because, he's projecting. They know that they're going to try to steal and manipulate the next election. So there's people that are saying he's getting the military out there in advance because if he waits too late, they won't be able to do a damn thing about it anyway. So they want to set up a problem before the next election. That's the theory anyway.
Instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos.
The police shot a journalist. And this administration, it was actually the feds, I think, shot a journalist. Federal government employees up there in riot gear or whatever, literally shot a journalist on national TV. And they made no apology about it whatsoever. This regime didn't even call for an apology to be made. No, they want journalists to be afraid to report on anything. So they have been sending the federal government out there violently attacking people, basically ripping babies from kids, from mothers. Like, even recently in Chicago, what they said, they went into some people's apartment buildings. Since when do you have the right to go into people's homes? Like, when do so you're just going to go inside? So people aren't safe anywhere in America right now. They don't want you on the street and they want to come to your home. And they told one person, we don't care if you have, even if you're not an illegal immigrant, although that's what we're here to find in your home. See if there's any illegal immigrants there in your home, African-American woman. But if you have any warrants, we're going to arrest you anyway. So now they're there to do you see, this is what's going on. So,
and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part
of... You can't even handle Charlie Kirk. Like, what the fuck? You can't even get your facts straight about Epstein. You couldn't handle that, could you? What happened to your investigation? Nothing is going to come of it because these people don't investigate crime. They hide crime.
Part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to
Why does she care if it's left wing? See, this is the thing. Whether you storm the Capitol or not on January 6th, it shouldn't fucking matter if you're left or right. But you see, it shouldn't matter. What the fuck? That shit is crazy. It shouldn't matter what you call them. And this is the thing. This is where they always project. For them, it matters. For them, it matters. But to a taxpayer, it shouldn't fucking matter. To a citizen, it shouldn't fucking matter who's doing the violence. You should be against all violence, but they're not actually against all violence. They're not actually against it, hence why everyone involved, pretty much involved in the violent attack on January 6th were pardoned. Even the people that killed the fucking police. I mean, can you believe this? The state even paid for the lady that got shot by the police, trying to say that, no, the police shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have shot her. Oh, yeah. Somebody throwing. Okay. So when you're outside on the street, how many people have said, I had no gun? All I did was pull out my wallet and the police shot me. And then the administration is like, not finding that strange. But here on the other side, you can break through a glass window yelling and screaming, I'm going to fucking kill you. And they're not supposed to shoot you. All right.
decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city. And
it's not their city. It's the American people's city. Hey, y'all, you people, right, who your grandparents gave you that property, gave you that land. It's not your land. It's not your town. It's the American people's. It's the American people's. And what they mean by the American people's is Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, the motherfuckers with 3 different citizenships, 3 different passports. That's what they mean. You see? You see where this is going? Ain't your town. It's not your town anymore. Not your town. Do you agree with that? If you agree with Caroline Leavitt that your towns that you come from, it's not your town. It's the American people's town. If you agree with that, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. Again, let me just let you hear what she just said.
President, in part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city. And
is it not their city? Is it the American people's city? See, it doesn't matter why it was said. Once you say it, anybody can say it for any reason. That's what fair is. So is it your city or is it not your city? Is it your state or is it the American people's state? So is there no separation between federal government and state government? You see where this is going? But it has to work for everybody. The rules have to be the same for everybody. You see, so is it your town?
President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy.
Man, nobody gives a shit what funding you're trying to cut. No one cares anymore because your regime has been cutting funding the entire fucking time. What are you talking about? Nobody fucking cares. No one cares. No one cares. You didn't cut funding to the billionaires. You didn't cut funding to the richest person on earth raiding the treasury. You didn't cut funding for Peter Thiel, did you? Did you? Oh, actually, y'all, they won't be able to pay. They have to pay out of their pockets themselves. All those people that are getting those government, pretty much a lot of those government contracts too that Peter Thiel is getting, right? And Elon Musk is getting. A lot of those, they will have to pay too. See, they won't get that money right now. It's on hold. And notice they're not saying that. Notice what they're not saying. That's because these people are fucking evil. I'm telling you, they're very, very slick. They are not talking about ICE not getting paid. And they're not talking about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel's federal dollars that come out of your pocket that they're not getting paid. because they don't want you to think about them. But this is what their real problem is. Their problem is not about poor people not getting health care. Their problem is not about poor people not getting SNAP benefits or not getting any assistance now that the economy is hard or losing their job. They don't give a fuck about no federal worker. The truth of the matter is that everything they're doing is just about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and the rest of these people get in their little clan, in their administration, getting these federal tax dollars. That's what it's really about. That's why they don't mention them. You know, the people that are most important, they don't want you to know, so they're not mentioning them at all. But it is a fact. ICE, you ICE people, you're running around there right now. As long as this government doesn't come to negotiate with Democrats, you ain't getting a motherfucking check this month, bitch. How does it feel? We'll ask in 30 days from now and see how it goes. You probably didn't give a fuck about any poor person living on the street either, because you're out there harassing them too. So, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Will also be an additional surge of federal resources.
Let's see how your morale goes on day 20. The closer you get to that day, you got to pay rent, because you all don't own homes yet. And even if you do, you got a mortgage. Let's see how it goes the closer you get to paying that mortgage. How much money did you stuff away in your little chest? I hope it was enough.
Resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will provide
ICE resources, everything except a check. You're going to get the guns. Get your ass out there, slave, and do that job for Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. They don't care. Peter Thiel, they're going to be eating steak dinner tonight and every other night. They're having a good old time. They don't give a fuck. Either way, they're eating steak.
Prevail, and President Trump will make.
And Caroline Leavitt is going to eat her steak too, because she still gets her. Matter of fact, let me just see something here. Let me just see. 2 seconds. In this government shutdown, does Caroline Leavitt get paid her salary? Let me just see here. I know some employees do, some don't, but let's see here. Yeah, see, she will continue to draw her salary during the government shutdown. Now let's see here. Will ICE employees get paid during the shutdown? Yes. Okay, hold on. Check this out. Now it says, yes, ICE in most cases, employees who are designated essential, accepted, will continue to work during the government shutdown, but they will not receive pay until the shutdown ends, you mother effers. Ha ha. So Caroline Leavitt's gonna get her check and you ain't, bitch. Guess who ain't part of the club, bitch? Yes, you ain't part of the club, bitch. You're not in the end with Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. You're not in the steak dinner club with Trump and Caroline Leavitt, you bitch. And you fucking deserve it. Yes. Wow. This is actually turning out to be a great day. This is a great day. You're not in the club, ICE. Guess what? Let me read that again. Will Caroline Leavitt get paid? Will she get paid? If you mean Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary. Hold on. Matter of fact, let's have some fun here. Let me just play this back so y'all can hear it. Maybe some people can't really understand my English. Where is it at? Let's see here. Let's go.
If by Caroline Leavitt you meant Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, then yes, she continues to draw her salary during a government shutdown because her pay is not dependent on annual appropriations in the same way that many federal workers' pay is.
Oh!
Here's a breakdown. Many federal employees are subject to furlough or working without pay during a shutdown if their salary depends on discretionary appropriations. However, certain positions, like the president, vice president, and many White House staff roles, are funded outside of the regular annual appropriations process, so they are not cut off in a shutdown. Press reports note that Leavitt is among top earners in the White House, news.yahoo.com. If you meant a different Caroline Leavitt, please clarify which country, which position, and I'll look up the specific rules.
So she's getting a good steak dinner. And when this ICE, if this thing goes over another month, I want to count how many ICE agents get, how that affects their mortgage, their rent. Even some of them got to take care of other people. Maybe they have kids, all those things they don't think about when they're fucking around, ripping other kids from their parents, ripping fathers from their families. Let's see how it feels in a month from now. And since I don't have a horse in this race, since I live outside of the U.S. as an American citizen, it doesn't affect me or my kids. So although I think it would be the decent thing to do in the wealthiest country on earth, where people pay very high taxes for every American citizen to have health care and universal education, although I think it would be the decent thing to do, meaning fair, if you fucking don't, it doesn't affect me at all. If you don't have it in your own motherfucking brain to do the decent thing, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you do. Go right ahead. Go vote. Keep it shut down. Keep it, keep doing things the way you want to do them. Hey, I'm going to sit back and watch. And I am going to eat, have my cake and eat it too. While I watch loads of Americans pay those taxes and they won't get any cake at all. They're just going to be paying them taxes and they like it. Let's see here.
Yes.
Does ICE get paid during the shutdown? Let's hear. Not like
yes.
Caroline.
In most cases, ICE employees who are designated essential, accepted, will continue to work during a government shutdown, but they will not receive pay until the shutdown ends. Ourpublicservice.org.
Yep.
Here's a more detailed breakdown. What essential accepted means. During a shutdown, agencies classify employees into 1. Accepted essential. Those whose work is necessary to protect life or property, national security, law enforcement, etc. These employees must continue performing their duties even if appropriations lapse. DHS.gov 2. Furloughed, non-accepted. Those whose work is not considered essential under the contingency plan, they are ordered to stop work, suspended until funding resumes. ILA.org. Because ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, handles law enforcement, detention, removals, investigations, border security, etc., many of its operations are considered essential. AmericanImmigrationCouncil.org. For example, ICE's removal operations, making arrests, detentions, deportations, are expected to continue. Tanslaw.com. However, some non-core functions, e.g. audits, planning, policy work, could be suspended during a shutdown. Littler Mendelsohn PC. According to recent DHS planning, ICE expects to retain the majority of its staff during a shutdown. Littler Mendelsohn. Pay during the shutdown and after. During the shutdown, even those essential ICE employees continue working without pay until funding is restored.
So, pay during the shutdown and after. During the shutdown, even those essential, meaning the people out there on the street, you better keep your ass working, even if you don't know if you're getting paid. Whoosh! Get your ass out there and work. And you better bring results, bitch. Okay? Or you get fired. Oh my God. During the shutdown, even those essential ICE employees continue to work without pay until funding is restored. How you going to get that funding, bitch? How you going to get that funding? How you going to get that funding? You say you need 5 Democrats? Okay. If they get 5 Democrats, I'm leaving the Democratic Party. Period. I've been a Democrat my whole life. right? Pretty much my entire voting life, pretty much, right? You get 5, I'm leaving that party. Because this should be essential. These basics, all Americans, in my view, should get. And since I'm not a hypocrite and I get universal health care and my kids get universal education, since I'm not a hypocrite, I would obviously want the same for my American sisters and brothers, fellow American citizens, since we pay just as much fucking taxes. You know, that would be the logical, decent thing to do. But since some of you, like greedy ass people, and are goddamn elitist, and some of you are just goddamn bigots, you more concerned about, you would sacrifice your own arm and leg if it meant another person that's not of your same ethnicity would be able to, you know, would have the same punishment. You would actually say, fuck it, I'll sacrifice my legs and my arm as long as somebody from a different ethnicity sacrifice their legs and arms. That's how toxic American politics is. A lot of you vote that way. When it comes to healthcare, you were like, nah, get them immigrants out of here. But you found out that immigrants, first of all, if you really understand how they are able to work, if any of them, you know, they're paying into these programs that you benefit from and don't actually get access to them like you do. Yes, Americans, they on some bullshit, y'all. And it's just best to know it, so you position yourself in a place where you're not being hurt while they're being stupid. See, I know Americans, so that's how I position myself. I position myself in a way to where no matter how stupid and hard-headed they are going to be, they're not fucking with me personally.
Make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda,
well, it was nice to lie to you guys today, and let me just, that was it for today, and now let's get somebody else in here. Now, here's where it really gets crazy, because when they start asking these questions, she ain't got shit. She's just retarded. There's nothing true there. It's yo, I'm sorry, but this is a person you should not fucking care about, because this person would not care about you. It's just very fucking simple. It's called being an elitist. It's a simple mind. It's a simple frame. A person that hasn't been shown anything better is literally going to take the steak dinner when everybody should be getting a steak dinner any goddamn way. But since she's offered the situation where it's like, hey, Caroline, you could get a steak dinner, but it only means everybody else, you know, you're going to have to see some people suffer, but we'll promise you that steak dinner. She's going to be like, you know what? Fuck the rest of these people. I'll take the steak dinner. And then she's going to go out there and try to justify to the public why it makes sense, why it makes her a just person, why it makes her still a good person. No, it doesn't. It makes you a bad fucking person. It makes you a bad human being, you know, just from any background. Like, that's supposed to be shunned upon by people from all backgrounds, But Caroline Leavitt, she ain't even for broke ass people from our own background. Yo, it's true. They're hypocrites.
On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle as well with city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding in the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city.
But yo, listen, this is not abnormal in the United States. Look, when Biden, when he gave out funding, I think it was for healthcare, actually, for schools, for the middle class, for the working poor, essentially. When they gave out food subsidies, you know, and said, hey, states would be able to access this money, you know what I'm saying? SNAP benefit, all these things that they were talking about when Biden was president. In Texas, guess who refused it? The Texas governor. He refused to work with the federal government. He refused to work with the president. He refused to work with the federal government over poor kids getting lunch at school. Guess what else they refused to? Disaster relief. Yeah, they could have gotten warning systems from the federal government. They could have, but because it was part of the Biden presidency, Trump was telling these Republicans, don't fucking do it. Don't accept it. Draw the hard line. And you know what these dumb motherfuckers did? They drew the hard line. That's one of the reasons why you saw the flood hit Texas this year, because they're one of the states that didn't even accept the warning systems fast enough. Like, seriously. So this is not abnormal. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. You must only have it both ways for it to be just. Only. Anything that is not both ways, you should fucking stop it yourself right now if you have the power. And the Republicans have the power. They have the White House. They have the Supreme Court. They have the Congress, and they have the Senate. They could stop the hypocrisy right now. They could. Voluntarily, they could.
To restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C., and all of you live here.
Washington, D.C. couldn't say no because it's a federal state. They don't have a governor, dumbass Caroline Leavitt. So why are you lying to the American people that pay your steak dinner? Washington, D.C., the National Guard is headed by the president in Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. is federal land. It's a federal state, essentially. They have local government, but they don't control the National Guard. In other states, like where the hell is Portland from anyway? Portland, Oregon, isn't that it? Right? They, like all the other states, right? Except Hawaii. I think Hawaii it's like 2 or 3 areas. Is it also Puerto Rico? It's 3 and maybe U.S. Virgin Islands. It's 3 or 4 territories in the U.S. where the president controls the National Guard. But D.C. is definitely at the top of the list and always been that way, right? But all the other states, the governor controls the National Guard. So, and these are people that vote for their own representatives. You know what I'm saying? And most people that grow up in the United States take state power very seriously, just as serious as federal power. But they've never seen a government that have tried to trample over the state rights, which is why Biden, when he was giving the money out to, or making sure the federal government was extending their programs to states for poor kids, right, for working class and poor to be able to get lunch, right, the federal lunch programs and things like that. If you wanted to say no, he didn't say nothing about it. You had the right to say no, and many states did. Mostly Republican states said no. Okay. Nobody cried over that. You said no. You didn't want them to have it. There's nothing that can be done about that. We can't trample on state rights. But now that there's a Republican president, you will see not only are they trampling on state rights, they're attacking states, period.
So you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can.
No. You might be a person who just moved to D.C. to work in the government. Maybe those kind of people feel safe. But the people that have lived in D.C. 10 years or more, they don't tell you they felt safe by this shit. They tell you they felt like they were under siege. That's what they say every day. And it's so funny how Caroline Leavitt misses that. Listen, you got to understand, Caroline Leavitt, as soon as she's out of a job, she's leaving D.C. unless she gets a Fortune 500 job being some sort of like working for some sort of pact or some pact like that, raising money to give to legislators, something like that. But if she's not, she's leaving D.C. She don't have nothing. She owns property. Her hometown is somewhere else. Her home likely is somewhere else too. You know what I'm saying? She really doesn't have any investment in the city, D.C., or the people of D.C. She's not a Washingtonian. A Washingtonian is a particular type of person because they're raised there, or born and raised there, and understand how the culture of the city is. They understand things about the nuances of the city that a person who just moved there to go to college or just moved there to get a job doesn't have any clue about. One thing, if you live in DC and you claim it as your home, how much DC history do you fucking know? You see? So, Washingtonians tend to know a whole lot about the history of DC from the very beginning. You see what I'm saying? They can tell you about the different ethnic groups that lived in the city back in the 1700s. When they had slavery still. They can tell you. I'm one of those people that can tell you. Even though we don't talk a lot about it on my channel, I'm a Washingtonian. I actually know that fucking history. Not just some of the qualified history, the stories told by historians, but actually the data, the quantified data. Numbers. How much households were earning. Single family. Yeah, they had data back in DC. Back then, I'm telling you, turn of the century. It's the capital, though. You see, don't sleep. Not just, families, but also black families, households. How they were constructed. Single parent, non-single parent. How many were non-single parent? How many were dual parents? How much they earned? La, 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 da, da, da. How many were free? How many were not? Caroline Leavitt can't tell you none about that. She can't tell you about none of the early residents of D.C., German, Scottish, any background, Polish, African-American, none of that. You know what I'm saying? And people from D.C. that know that kind of stuff don't give a fuck about what Caroline Leavitt thinks. We know more about your motherfucking town than you know about ours. We know more about the United States of American history than you know about your own fucking country. Yes. And other places. Yes.
And must be working together, and we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor...
Look at how we can cut funds. You see, it's like total double talk. On one hand, it's like... Yo, come back from the shutdown because it's going to cut down some people's funds. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to cut down some more people's funds.
Of Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us. I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious.
Well, the Democrats said it. They went in there and had a meeting with him. And what did he say afterwards? Fuck you. So, although it's their job for Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer to meet the president, it's their literal job. They are the leaders of the Congress and the Senate. It's their actual specific job to meet with the president, even if he's a racist, even if he's a misogynist, even if he's a buffoon, even if he's a crook, even if he's a possible murderer. It's actually their job to meet with him anyway when the American people's lives are on the line. And what did he say? What did he say after they left? Fuck you. What did he say when they were weeks up to this? He told Republicans, don't meet with the Democrats. Do not. And a lot of this has something to do with the Epstein files, but let's play some more.
About wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some...
You ever been to Portland, Oregon, Caroline Leavitt? I don't think so.
Some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips. I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go.
Well, look, the Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back.
Our troops can get paid again. Paid to do what? Invade people's cities? The president is priming the military, not just the National Guard, not just the federal government, not just the feds, not just ICE. He's literally priming Army, Air Force, Marines, to go into American cities, to go into Democrat-led cities specifically. Why should Democrats give a fuck if they get paid if they're about to be ordered to invade their own states? That don't make no sense.
Back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And
layoffs and ICE not getting paid is unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but hey, what the fuck? A lot of things are unfortunate in this Trump administration.
Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries.
And Caroline has described a lot of those unfortunate things as, oh, well, that's just normal life. Hey, that's how it is.
Their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what
Yeah, they're all paid by the taxpayer, so let's hear the answer.
constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our
Aha, when they don't align with the administration's values. Yo, but that's not anything that has nothing to do with the Constitution. I mean, Congress is supposed to be deciding what goes along with the American people's values and funding it. That's Congress's job specifically.
country first. You've seen that with USAID.
So they just don't need Congress, or they're just not asking Congress, to even be a part of it. So understand how that works. That means is idiotic as a lot and hypocritical as a lot of these GOP congressional members are. They ain't even a part of what Trump is fucking doing. They can't even be blamed. They can be blamed because they're not impeaching his ass, but they can't actually really be blamed because this is not congressional law. The shit Trump is doing, the shit she's talking about has nothing to do really with congressional law outside of the fact that he tends to violate congressional law often and not be held accountable by Congress or the Supreme Court. But it's not coming out of the Congress. It's not the Congress legislating that. It's Trump.
ID and in various other
It's Trump doing it. There's no legislation to it.
cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy.
Look, the White House is not even designed to do all of this shit. The Congress and the Senate are. There are way more people they're putting on the job to have a comprehensive understanding about what is going on and what should be slashed, what should be there for the American people. That's not really something the White House is even designed to do. They have less resources, the White House, to have a comprehensive view.
To be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
Oh, that's what the vote was, to shut the government down? There's nothing called a vote to shut the government down. Nobody ever said, hey, let's have a vote on should the government stay open or should it be shut down? That's not what the vote is about. The vote is about funding, the purse. Who is allowed to fund the government? And if there's things that are not there that representatives believe should be there, it's their duty to not vote in favor of the proposed bill if it excludes things that they want. That's not voting for a shutdown. That's doing your job for your constituents. Also, how do they view it? For the American people. You see?
You talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly, and if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still?
And the beautiful part about this, just to play devil's advocate, let's say I was in support of Trump and the devastation he's causing the U.S. and his administration. I would be saying, guess what? And you could fuck it up and you could get it wrong again by allowing J.D. Vance to become the president after Trump, because Trump is going to be out of here in a few days. He's going to be gone. Trump is on his last leg, physically in every way possible. Every way possible, Trump is out. They're looking to put J.D. Vance in or someone very, very fast. Now, if you want some more devastation and destruction, you will accept someone from Trump's administration who's a bootlicker like J.D. Vance or one of these other ones who any of them. They're all down with the corruption. They all have their hands in it. They're all out there publicly advocating for what they advocate for. I mean, they're all a part of it. They all are in agreement with Donald Trump and stated publicly. Marco Rubio, for example. All of them. Caroline Leavitt, J.D. Vance. Who else?
Be on the table.
The only one that came out against Trump and made a public statement against Trump is Howard Lutnick, when he basically said all the people that were down with Epstein that knew that was around him basically are in on it. They're complicit. Basically, we're going to review Lutnick's comments again.
Look, as I just...
If you don't know, if you didn't hear it, I got a video just 2 days ago. It's titled Lutnick Takes Out Trump. Hit job on Trump, something like that, where we cover the whole goddamn thing.
Stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen.
More layoffs and cuts have to be made. More layoffs and cuts have to be made. Shouldn't the Democrats say the same thing? Shouldn't the Democrats say yes? More, we want more. As a matter of fact, we want all ICE people to not be paid. We want them all fired. Fuck it. Let's abandon the whole thing. How about that? Can't they be fired? How about that? Shouldn't we do that? Shouldn't we go for more people being fired? Right? This is the year of let's fire people. You know, even if it hurts the economy, let's deport people, even if it hurts the economy. Let's fire people, even if it makes our country insecure, more insecure to foreign threats. Let's do anything, even if it has horrible side effects. Let's do it anyway. Shouldn't we all join that party? Let's all do that. Hey, let's just fuck it all up.
But again, the Democrats have an opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government.
And so do the Republicans if they take the side of the Democrats. But they don't. They want a government shutdown.
That is all this administration and the president is asking for.
That's all that's all the Democrats and the administration are asking for. The Democrats are just asking the Republicans to come to the table.
Vote for a clean continuing resolution.
They're just asking you to vote for a real bill that supports the American people, health care, and the basics. Fair housing, fair, access to education, fair food that's all they're asking for. They're not asking for anything big. It's their tax dollars anyway. Why the fuck do you give a fuck? You give it away to the rich and the billionaires any day, Caroline Leavitt. So why the fuck do you care?
To keep the government open. Peter.
You could keep the government open and allow all American people to have a fair, decent life. But you don't want that, do you, Caroline? Well, all the Republicans have to do is agree on that.
Thank you, Caroline.
You see, everybody can play that Caroline Leavitt game.
Thank you, Peter.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it.
Did the president know anything about Project 2025 before he was elected? If so, put a 1 in the chat. If he didn't, put a 2 in the chat. Again, the question is, if the president knew anything about Project 2025 before he was elected, put a 1 in the chat. If he didn't, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious. Let's see where the hypocrites are.
Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president...
Oh, you see how ambiguous she just got right then and there? You see, this is fucking funny.
Said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trust his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vogt tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI, DOT.
You see, so they don't do any research. They don't have a public conversation about what they're saying. They just decide to stop it anyway until they figure out better. So you could see that this is an extremely partisan administration. And when it's good for them, they do it. When it's bad for them, they make the exact opposite arguments, and that's just the tale of it. But I want to look up Voight while we're here. Let her talk.
He is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds. And in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country. Kate.
Did the president and Russ Vogt decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal, that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term, the Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel was on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you, I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will...
Oops. Did I just mess that up? Hold on, let me see something here. Let me go back here. Let's see here. Carol, what the heck? Here we go. Where was I at? Sorry about that. Let me see. White House. I just shut that one down. White House Press. Here we go. It's this one right here. Let me open it back up.
Or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions.
I just wanted to say, so you could see that I actually looked up Russell Voigt, and I like to do that from time to time because trust me, a lot of these people don't have deep roots in the United States of America and have extreme views about immigration, and a lot of them are just even first generation. They just migrated as kids themselves. Like, you would be surprised. A lot of them, almost the more right wing they sound in media and in his cabinet, a lot of them turn out to be immigrant background, like as in first generation or second generation Americans, like straight up. I'm serious. Stephen Miller, what was it? His family came after World War II to the United States of America. You see what I mean? And he's very extreme about how you treat immigrants generally. When you hear these people, even the guy who was talking about euthanizing homeless people, immigrant background family, like seriously, we're not talking about was around in the Civil War. We're not talking about before the Civil War or anything like that. Like a lot of Americans' families, like mine are. You see what I'm saying? We're not talking about that with a lot of these right wingers. So, but some of them are. So I was just checking Russell Boyd because I never did that before. So
Venezuelan drug cartels in these boats.
He checks out, by the way.
Consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and the Chief Executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American homeland. And he also promised the American people he was going to end the drug epidemic that has taken far too many American lives. And you're seeing those actions play out almost every single day here.
One last question on the shutdown, Caroline. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now.
Right. Yeah,
I think he has a swearing-in ceremony.
Now, literally working around the clock. Trump's old ass ain't doing nothing around the clock. I mean, come on, Again, what's phony, what's so telling about Caroline Leavitt is that she came into this job talking the exact same way that she talks now, as if people don't get old, as if people don't get tired, as if nothing ever changes. In her mind, every time you ask about President Trump's health, he's like Superman. He's working around the clock. It's like, come on. You see what I mean? Like, come on. The dude is literally deteriorating in people's faces and suddenly not showing up. I mean, the dude's doing a lot of tweeting, but you don't know what he looks like when he's doing the tweeting. You don't even know if it's him doing the tweeting. But he did have time to make up a meme with after a meeting where this is how insidious it is. The meeting that you claim you want Democrats to participate in, you mock them by mocking Hakeem Jeffries, his own ethnicity after the meeting. Immediately after the meeting. Then they lied to the American people. There is a video. There is video and audio of this actual meeting. They won't put the video and audio out, but they're going to make tweets about it. Now Hakeem Jeffries has said that they lied about the meeting. They said J.D. Vance lied, President Trump lied. They said that actually there was only a few seconds used to even talk about illegal immigration. The meeting didn't even have anything to do with that. It was pretty much only based, the entirety of the meeting was based on healthcare, explaining how it wasn't true what they were saying, and they didn't deny it in that meeting. That's what Hakeem Jeffries has said. That's what Schumer has said. Now look at her answer to this individual. She knows that's what's been said publicly.
He already did.
Since the shutdown has begun, what's the White House's One last question on the shutdown, Caroline. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're
It's ridiculous fodder.
here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in
Literally. Okay.
ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government. Emily.
you, Caroline. You spoke earlier about
Anyway, so for those that don't know, the U.S. government has essentially, Congress is not there. It's been called. They've went on vacation. The majority leader, MAGA Mike Johnson, put them on vacation. So what the hell is she talking about? What the hell is she talking about? Listen, this is ridiculous. Let me see here. Where is it at? What the heck? Is it not here? Whoa. Here it is. Here it is right here. Yeah. They're not in session, and sadly enough, what the heck happened here? Did this let me change the transformer here. That's weird. Yeah, they actually are not in session. They've been called out of session by MAGA Mike Johnson, and they've been told that they don't need to be there. So yeah, that there's nothing to do. So while she is saying this, Caroline Leavitt, at the same time, MAGA Mike Johnson has said something else entirely different, and people should get tired of that. So far, Americans are not tired of the leader of the Republican Party in Congress totally saying the opposite of what the White House press secretary states publicly. Like, this is within only a few hours difference that these statements are even being made. You see, and one of them, only one can be true. So Democrats are actually still there in D.C. None of them, they've been told to stay, right? Because they want to vote to stay on purpose. Now, Republicans have been told to go home. And that is just the facts of it. So let's review that.
MSNBC congressional reporter Michael Schnell, NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, and Semaphore White House correspondent Shelby Talcott. Michael, any movement today?
Yeah, Katie, not really. Look, I will caveat that with the fact that both the House and Senate are out of session today in observance of Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday, but still not a lot of action up here. We did hear from Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team a little bit earlier this morning, and they had stuck by the same talking points, arguing that the onus of this shutdown is on Democrats, and then the best way to reopen the government is to pass that House-passed continuing resolution that was crafted by Republicans. Listen to a taste of what Speaker Johnson had to say.
People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority to say, oh, we won't do that. Why don't you guys vote for it now? I don't have anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they have decided to shut the government down and hurt people. It is on them 100%.
Now, Katie, we know that just agreeing to that Republican-crafted stopgap bill is a non-starter among the majority of Senate Democrats. Now, we are aware that some conversations are underway in a bipartisan fashion in the Senate about potentially finding an off-ramp to the current situation. We saw some of those huddles happening on the Senate floor yesterday. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said it was his understanding that they would continue today. But what that bipartisan off-ramp could be, that agreement to reopen the government, really remains elusive as of now. Now, what does the schedule for the next few days look like? The Senate is going to be back here in the Capitol tomorrow. They'll be holding a pair of votes. First, on that Democratic-crafted stopgap that includes the Obamacare subsidies and other health care provisions. We're expecting that to fall short of the 60-vote threshold needed to move forward. Senate will also vote on that Republican-crafted.
Okay. Yeah. So the Senate is still open. But let's go back here, because MAGA Mike Johnson, he did just call a vacation. But let's just go back a little bit here.
Crafted stop.
You know what they're saying.
Anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over. I'm stunned.
Okay.
I'm stunned.
He didn't put anything in it to even send over. So he himself, right, he's the majority party leader. It's a non-starter. If Democrats don't get, if they're saying that if they don't get the repeal of that of those cuts in the big beautiful bill that Republicans passed themselves, right? They got a couple of like one Democrat, I believe. If they don't repeal that, you see, and extend it, allow it to remain, right? That they're not signing it, and it's a non-starter for them, right? So MAGA Mike Johnson, even though Democrat states pay taxes, let's see here. Let's see. What states pay more of the federal budget operating, let's say operating, federal operating budget for the USA? I want a Republican list and Democrat list separate, which show, oh no, wait a second. I want a list. I want the list to state if they are Republican or Dem. Let's see here. Just to give some context to this. All right. Because while they're claiming that, well, they told the Democrats to fuck off. That's what Trump said anyway. And everybody knows that about Trump. Nobody's confused about Trump in that kind of way. But, you know, how he does things. That's how Trump does stuff. And folks have gotten used to it. And but let me see here. Where can I pull this up on the screen? Why is it this? Is it this one? Boom. Is it that? No. Okay, I see. Let me. Oh, wait. Is it that one? Is it this one too? Wait a second. How is it not this one? Okay, that's this one, right? And that's this one. So let me just change something real quick. Sorry about the delay. Hold on. Is it this one right here? Right. So let me go over to here. This is ChatGPT. Now let me just make it a little smaller so it can be viewed properly. Didn't this get shut down? How is that possible? Here we go. Transform. I should have done this earlier. Sorry about this, y'all. Let's go to top. Yeah. I just need to make a few adjustments so everybody can see this easily. All right. I don't know why this popped off the screen, but so I want to know what states are paying the money, paying for the money, paying for the government. So you can have some context in terms of how they negotiate with each other. Very simple. What does each state contribute to the country's operating budget in conversation, so we can have some context about conversations about funding the federal government, right? So it makes sense to people. Let's see here. So let me go over to here and pull this up real quick. And let's hear what they got to say. Now, where is it? Doesn't it say playback or something? Yeah, here we go. Let's listen.
Here are some US states that pay more in federal revenue, net contributors, than they receive in federal spending, along with whether they currently lean Republican or Democratic, based mostly on recent presidential/statewide elections. Data based on FY 2023 to 2024, using USA Facts and related sources. USA Fact top net contributor states that send more than they get back. Below are some of the states with the biggest net payment to the federal government. State approximate net contribution in B, per capita differential, political lean party in recent presidential elections. New York about an $89 billion, i.e. sends $89 B more than it gets. USA Facts, Democratic voted for Democratic presidential candidates in recent elections. JagranJosh.com, California about minus $78 billion net contributor. Democratic, Janjot, New Jersey. About minus $70 billion USA Facts, Democratic Massachusetts. About minus $47 billion USA Factic Democratic Delaware, minus $25 billion. Sokuwo.info. Democratic Jellical lean is based on the 2024 or most recent presidential statewide trend. If you want, I can list all net contributor states with their party leaning, so you have the full picture.
So there we
prefer
are.
That?
Let's listen now. Let's listen to MAGA Mike Johnson again, and how he talks about how the Democrats are this and how the Democrats are that, right? And la la la.
Shut the government down and hurt people. It is on them 100%.
Now, Katie, we know that just agreeing to that Republican-crafted stopgap bill is a non-starter among the majority of Senate Democrats. Now, we are aware that some conversations are underway in a bipartisan fashion in the Senate about potentially finding an off-ramp to the current situation. We saw some of those huddles happening on the Senate floor yesterday. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said it was his understanding that they would continue today. But what that bipartisan off-ramp could be, that agreement to reopen the government, really remains elusive as of now. Now, what does the schedule for the next few days look like? The Senate is going to be back here in the Capitol tomorrow. They'll be holding a pair of votes. First, on that Democratic-crafted stopgap that includes the Obamacare subsidies and other health care provisions. We're expecting that to fall short of the 60-vote threshold needed to move forward. Senate will also vote on that Republican-crafted stopgap again. Similarly, we expect that to fail as well. Then the path forward remains unlikely, though John Thune, saying this morning that he doesn't expect the Senate will remain in recess over the week.
Now, when it comes to this, right, this Senate thing that they're talking about, and when they say stopgap, right, the reality is when they say that they need 60 votes, that means they need a supermajority, basically, because if it wasn't that, then they could do it with 51. So this is something that's deep, that is that speaks to the core of the nation when you need a supermajority. For example, if you need to make sure that all American citizens, just by birth, have an individual right to universal health care in the United States of America, you would need a supermajority to pass that in the Senate. You see? Big changes like that need them. If you wanted something like universal education, meaning individual universal education, meaning no matter how much money you have in your pocket, just the fact that you are a United States citizen, you are guaranteed the right to education, higher education, lower education, whatever you're talking about. You see, like it is in a lot of other Western states, you would need a supermajority. So let me just bring that back, what she was discussing. What are they planning on voting on now?
An off-ramp to the current continue today, but what that bipartisan off-ramp could be, that agreement to reopen the government, really remains elusive as of now. Now, what does the schedule for the next few days look like? The Senate is going to be back here in the Capitol tomorrow. They'll be holding a pair of votes. First, on that Democratic-crafted stopgap that includes the Obamacare subsidies and other health care provisions. We're expecting that to fall short.
They're expecting that about health care to fall short because you would need a supermajority, like you did the last time. When Obama passed it, it was with 60 votes. It wasn't with 51. It had bipartisan support, because it's core. It was a core program. It's a big program, and that's the only way they wanted to have the vote, you have to have a vote before you get to have a vote on shit. You have to vote to the agreement what you're voting on. You got to have a conversation about what are we talking about here, and how is it going to be done through appropriations or what methods, within the law, right? So with this one, it needed a super majority. But let's hear what else
of the 60 vote threshold needed to move forward.
Republicans they're not going to vote Democrat right now. So it doesn't matter what the Democrats do in the House or the Senate. Right now, Republicans are not going to support them no matter what it's about. Trump does not want for it. Trump called for that, and Trump is getting it.
Senate will also vote on that Republican-crafted stopgap again. Similarly, we expect that to fail as well. Then
the stopgap
path forward remains unlikely, though John Thune, saying this morning that he doesn't expect the Senate will remain in recess over the weekend, which, Katie, that means the shutdown could likely extend into next week.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right, so who is to blame for the shutdown, according to American voters? Here is a Washington Post text poll. 47% say Trump and the Republicans in Congress. 30% say Democrats in Congress. 23% not sure. This is 1,000.
Right. So the stopgap is about the American it's the American or Affordable Care Act of the USA, American Affordable Care Act, right? So that's what people call Obamacare. And they're trying to keep it going, right? That's what Democrats are trying to do. They need a supermajority. They need 60 votes. They need some Republicans, again, to support Americans continuing, not cutting health care, continuing it as it already was, given the fact that no, illegal immigrants don't have a right and don't get access to Medicare and anything in this bill. They don't get none of it. They don't get none of it. You know, folks have been lied to, but you can see Democrats could say the same. Why don't Republicans want to vote for it? If that's what they stand for, then what would be the problem? If Republicans aren't cutting this, right, then what would be the problem? What's their argument for them? You know, what's their beef with the Dems then? What's their beef with the Dems? They're claiming that the American Affordable Care Act allows illegal immigrants to get health care. That's what they're literally claiming. So they have plenty of opportunity to vote however they want to vote. But you can see here what it means is they're cutting your health care in this bill. Even if it's in the Congress, they're cutting your health care. Even if it's in the Senate, they're cutting your health care. That's what Republicans want to do right now. So there's really no way out of that for them, for the Republicans. But let's listen.
1,010 adults reached by text on October 1st. And then the other part of this, which is what this whole shutdown is about, these federal subsidies for health care. Here's what people say about that. 71% of the country wants to extend health care subsidies. 29% wants it ended.
Republicans would call that fake news. That's what they would call that right about now. Or they would say, fuck you. That's what Trump would say. 71%. He would say it's fake news. And even if it isn't fake news, fuck you.
As scheduled, it would end in January. And in some cases, premiums would triple to unaffordable highs for many, 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 many Americans.
So you see how this won't make sense. They already had this Senate vote planned. This is already on the table. Republicans then inject that they want to cut it in the Congress so they can bring their own version of these bills. You see what I mean? And they don't want to tell people that's part of their plan to cut it. They want to make it sound like, no, it's only about illegal immigrants. No, it's not. It's about 71% of Americans getting their health care. You see, 71%, you know, I mean, it's about this 71% of the Americans that, you know, participated in the survey, obviously, but this is what it is. I mean, a lot of Americans want their health care once they understand how it works. It's called many different things. On the federal level, it's called Medicaid and Medicare. But on the state level, once that money travels down to the states, because states contribute in different ways also, not unilaterally, right? In their own different ways, according to what people in each state thinks their own state dollars can be used for. They have some, say, in additional programs. And this is where sometimes illegals might be able to slip through the cracks, quote unquote. But that's not a huge concern. That's not a huge number. That's not a big percentage, if it exists at all. You see what I mean? It's hard to fake a residence. You have to get ID. They can fake it. You see what I'm saying? That's what, if you want to get access to them programs, they ask you for ID, even on the state level. So this whole thing has been manipulated and lied to, you know, and the 10%, I mean, the 1%, Elon Musk and them, they did get their tax break already. One Democrat voted for that. One Democrat voted for all those rich people to get tax breaks, while the same party that had all the other Republicans, the same bills that the Republicans make, they're now trying to gut you on the other side. I mean, it's terrible.
Where's the White House's head on that? Do these numbers stir them?
Apparently not, because we have not heard any indication that they have any intention of relenting. And I think if the president was worried about it, I don't think that he would have been so explicit as to welcome shutdowns. He's done it in the past. And then I think it's worth going back to just earlier this week. He has been very vocal, arguing that this is effectively, in some ways, an effective approach to cut down government. Take a listen.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way.
So cutting more. So why would you pass a bill to cut health care in Congress when your president is going to cut other shit? Does that make sense? He's not even telling you what it's going to be, but he's telling you more cuts are coming, y'all. More cuts are coming. So is that how you negotiate? Is that how you reach out to the other side to get votes? I mean, maybe that's how they do it in Vietnam. You know what I'm saying? North Vietnam. Maybe that's how they do it in North Korea. I don't know. Maybe that's how they do it in Russia.
And so, well, you could say Capitol Hill, right? For a little analogy, they're figuring out.
I know that's not how it's done in any other Western country.
How the restaurant should be run moving forward. And then meanwhile, Russ Vought and Donald Trump are in the kitchen with the active ingredients in deciding what to slice and dice here. And those two men are here meeting this afternoon to go through potential firings across agencies and potential cuts of projects. He's threatened 16.
And don't you Republicans want those firings? Don't you MAGA supporters want those firings right about now? Yes, you want the firings. Those firings you salivating about. So why shouldn't Democrats salivate over just people, losing their jobs? Not getting paid for a couple months. You don't even want to furlough people. You're salivating about people getting fired. When you're talking about the Democrats, all you're talking about is them being furloughed. When there's an agreement, they get their back pay. Most of them will get their back pay. But as long as there's no agreement, they don't get paid. You see the difference? So the administration is literally, and MAGA people are on board with just firing folks flat out, losing their jobs, affecting how they will be able to afford to eat, pay their rent, pay for the kids, pay for childcare. If you support American citizens and you support America, you would want to support childcare. There could be nothing more patriotic than that, because the children are the future of your country. Or you're just going to keep importing new Americans. Which one you going to do? Make up your mind. Do you want to produce enough American citizens from the people that come from America or the United States? Or do you want to import new ones? Well, if you want to produce them and you're not producing enough, maybe child care might help you. Maybe health care might help you do that job. Maybe. I'm just saying. I know a lot of MAGA people are against that, though.
Democratic states, their green energy projects, he's threatened the tunnel that is being constructed.
Again, that's not how it works. In the rest of the Western countries, they're in agreement about what I'm saying.
Here in New York, a subway transformation project. So there's a lot on the line. And frankly, until the government is reopened, the Office of Personnel Management, they sent out to agencies stating very specifically that the OMB director is the one who is empowered to determine which federal workers are accepted and able to work. And right now, they are making the case, the OMB director, that those who would be processing the firings are crucial workers and workers that should continue to work.
And
you understand that? So you see, the essential workers, the White House is arguing that the guy who fires people, they're essential. Yeah, that's right. So, I don't know. In any case, let's flip the script. Now, while all of this is going on, the same hypocrisy that people pay for, again, Caroline Leavitt's going to get her steak dinner. She can't be furloughed. This doesn't affect her, right? Just like it doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect me if some people get furloughed and ICE doesn't get paid this month and all that. That doesn't affect me at all. It doesn't affect me if anybody doesn't get paid at all, because my kids, I live outside of the U.S., so my kids I have universal health care. My kids have universal education. If they want to go to become a doctor, that has nothing to do with me. That's paid for. They get a fee to do that on their own, and the tuition is free. That's on them. They decide that themselves. Nobody's holding them back. There's no argument about, oh, you took this one and you didn't take me. Don't take them. Hey, fuck it. If you're going to take them, I don't want it either, if that'll help. You know, none of those kind of arguments. Everybody agrees here in Copenhagen, Denmark, that, the basics, that's what's called a fair society. There could be nothing more fair than that. You see what I mean? Since you don't want to do reparations, you better do something. You know what I'm saying? Now, oh my God. Sometimes I just wonder. But in any case, there's more. So let me see. Where the hell is this with that? There's more going on here. Is it this one? Capture 2. Okay. Is it this one now? Y'all seeing this?
New report.
Is it there? Okay, hold on. It didn't come up. Where is it at? Oh, here it is. Boom. Now, in Chicago, this is what they've been up to. F them kids. This is what ICE wants to get paid. They want to get a check for doing this kind of stuff.
It's about a chilling and downright shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police backed up by
notice they got on a mask.
Riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours.
Some of them without any clothes. Just remember, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, which is probably why they cover their faces.
And
because they don't want people to know who they are. They don't want their own kids to know what they do. Their own family members, their own neighborhood to know what they're doing.
The others into rented vans.
And they don't want to be they don't want to be held accountable personally. They don't want to be sued for violating the Constitution. The Constitution. You know that's a crime, right? You know you can also be sued too, right? So
it was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
He said what? Let me see that. Damn.
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing.
Where was that at? Right here?
They zip tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip tied the kids.
So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah. Exactly. It is. And this is how you create hate, by saying things like that and treating people's kids that way. Now, I'm not sure if the kid that was a citizen or not, or if the family were citizens or not, but so far it sounds like it. And I'm an American citizen. If you say fuck my kids and you work for any government agency, then also, rightfully so, fuck your kids too. Any chance, any possibility. Just to be fair about it. If my kids don't matter, fuck your kids too. Very simple. As an American citizen to citizen. You say fuck my kids, I say fuck your kids too. And I'm not saying the rest of America. I'm just saying to the person that says fuck your kids.
Together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members.
So I'm not saying all MAGA people say that. But that person who said it, oh, hell, goddamn yes. Fuck your kids, too. Yeah.
But U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained, too. The cops told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home. 37 people were ultimately arrested after agents separated children from their parents on the street. And if you're looking at this and asking yourself, how is this legal? That is the right question to ask.
It's not.
And it has kind of an answer. And to understand it, you have to go back to Los Angeles.
They're getting away with it. It's not legal. You could argue that it's legal, but it's unprecedented in the courts. So once it goes through the court and every little detail comes out in the specifics, then you will know if it's legal because it's new precedent. Before Trump's administration, people would automatically assume you don't do that. That's why you don't do that, because you could get your ass sued because it is illegal. Yeah, you could lose your job, shit like that. But these people are masked up. They got an administration this for the first time in the history of the country saying, no, you can wear a mask and you could go out there and invade people's towns, their homes. You could violate their civil rights anytime you want. And I'll give you the green light to do that, you know. And of course, that ends up having a lot of lawsuits after towards these people. That ends up, and they will get paid by the government. It doesn't matter who's the president. They will get paid if a court finds that what was done is illegal, if their civil rights were violated. You know, of course, it might take a little bit of time. That's what Trump and them are thinking. They won't even be around. The crime will have been done. Elon Musk and Peter Thiel will have all the contracts and the trillions of dollars sucked out of the American taxpayers that they need. By then, they'll be gone to another country because they got 3 citizenships, each one of them. They don't give a fuck what you think. They gone. They don't need to ask to leave. They leave any day of the fucking week they want. You don't. You're fucking stuck.
Summer.
And you gonna pay.
Federal immigration agents start
for Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Caroline Leavitt and Donald Trump's steak dinner. Yes, you are.
Pushing the envelope on orders from the White House. They raided Home Depot parking lots.
And if you want to voluntarily, I say, fuck it. Why not? Go ahead, pay for their steak dinner. You know, I would call that suicidal, you know, behavior. But hey, some people are like that. I'm not trying to stop you. If that's what you like, go for it.
Walmart lots, and they grabbed people they saw. Near one Home Depot, masked agents with batons grabbed Narcisco Barranco.
Wait a second. Let me blow this up right here. This is actually bigger. I mean, it's a little small for the screen. So let me see if I can. Here we go. Can I get that a little bigger? Let's just blow that one up for a second, so everybody can see what this is here. Let's go.
Lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years and has 3 sons serving the Marine Corps. Agents beat Barranco on the ground, dislocating his shoulder before detaining him. In Van Nuys, agents raided a car wash, remembering this, sending patrons and workers scrambling before the 79-year-old owner, who is a U.S. citizen named Rafi, tried to ask them what they were doing.
So is it fuck his kids too? Is it fuck him and fuck his kids also? I don't know. You tell me.
That is when Rafi was taken down by agents and eventually handcuffed. Rafi says he was injured in the process.
And they sit on me. This is my elbow. About a week ago, and this is my arm.
Rafi says he and 5 others at his car wash were taken to a federal detention center downtown. We're still working to learn more about why they were detained.
And that man is not alone.
Look how you got my hand twisting that. I'm American, bro. Yo, these guys are literally based off of skin color. My homie was born here just because of the way he looks.
Agents kept stopping people.
Just because of the way you look. Yep. That's what it's up to. And now, see, this was the Project 2025 plan. It's to use police, use the government to violate people's civil rights, to ignite frustration, anger, and possible war, violence. That's part of the Project 2025 plan, so that they can use that reaction as a justification to basically commit more crimes, to stop the election. Yeah, that's what the reasoning is. So if they can legally, until someone intercedes like the Supreme Court, which, by the way, can say it's illegal, but they can't enforce their own decision. They're relying on the executive branch to do that. Right. That's their plan. They're trying to, it is a constitutional crisis. And my thoughts are just, when is the military going to really get down to resolving this? Like, how much do they have to see before they understand that the country is under attack? The American people are under attack by a tyrant, and that the Supreme Court, this tyrant, has got some of the Supreme Court in their pocket, out of fear or out of money or whatever it is. He's got some of this Congress and Senate, and he's using that leverage to step on constitutional rights of Americans. First Amendment. Second, soon he's going to be coming after the Second Amendment. I'm telling you, if this goes on, if anything unites, he is going to ban citizens having weapons, because in the United States, it's one of the very few countries, and might be the only one. It's one of a few where you have the right to bear arms, but not only that, the citizens have more weapons than basically the police. You see what I mean? Basically, the citizens of the United States have a lot of weapons, and they have strong gun rights across the United States of America. And American citizens believe in their gun rights. They know that that's what makes them different from every other country. It makes them different from the countries you want to be different from. You want to be different from China, because Chinese people don't have really the right to defend themselves from the state. The gun proliferation is minor. It's minor. Same thing with Russia. They can't stand up to any regime in Russia because they don't have guns. American people have more guns than Russia, and the civilian population has more guns in the U.S. than the civilian populations of China and Russia put together. And China's got how many goddamn billion people? You see what I'm saying? Go fact check this shit yourself, straight up. But the difference here is that the Trump administration is trying to drag the country into civil war. He's looking for any justification to avoid his crimes that he's committing himself. Arguably, many are saying this. Of course, it is what it is until it's charged. It's not a crime until it's called treason and charged in Congress, charged in the Senate. Then it's not, of course. It's that little thing that you got to deal with too. So yeah, maybe in that way it's not treason, but it looks closer to treason than anything else. It looks theoretically exactly like treason. You see, but
they suspected of being undocumented immigrants for no reason other than they weren't obviously white. Like Brian Gavidia, the man you saw there, the 29-year-old American.
And I advise American citizens, especially on the left, right, to calmly, go get your gun license. Calmly buy whatever guns you need before this president bans guns. Straight up, I'm telling you.
He wasn't arrested, but he says...
It's just my thought, though. I'm not saying use it for stupid shit or hate speech or anything for hate crimes. I'm saying use it for this motherfucker trying to sick the military on the American people. Use it for them trying to take away your First and Second Amendment. Use it for them trying to take away your civil rights. Use it for them trying to take away your country, your freedom. Use it like the Constitution says use it. That's what I'm saying.
Agents went through his phone for 20 minutes and kept his real ID card. Now, these are obvious violations of people's core constitutional civil rights, their right to equal protection and the freedom from unlawful searches and seizures. And victims filed a class action lawsuit. And after an entire bench trial, a federal judge sided with those victims and ended the ICE sweeps. And in her ruling, she wrote, "It is illegal to conduct roving patrols which identify people based upon race alone, aggressively question them, and then detain them without a warrant, without their consent, and without reasonable suspicion that they are with status." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. An appeals court upheld her injunction against ICE. You have to stop doing this. And so the Trump administration took the issue to the Supreme Court. And lo and behold, last month, the court's 6-3 conservative majority voted to just let Trump and ICE continue for now, as the case works its way up, to use racial profiling in their immigration raids, halting the lower court's decision, saying, go ahead. Now, they gave no reasoning or explanation for their decision. Silent. Except Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote a short concurring opinion saying there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with racially motivated stops by law enforcement. Quote, if the officers learn the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the U.S., they promptly let the individual go.
Okay.
Welcome to the era of what critics call the Kavanaugh stop. Carte blanche.
Yeah, they'll promptly let you go, right? But just for reference, right? Just for reference, let me see here. Let me flip back to this now, and let me go to Kavanaugh. Let me see something. How many women alleged Justice Kavanaugh sexually assaulted them? Just as a reference, because a lot of people that are not Americans that watch my channel, and a lot of Americans may not know. But let's see here what it says. It says during Brett Kavanaugh's 2018 Supreme Court confirmation process, multiple women publicly accused him of sexual misconduct. So let's hear this. And I know MAGA people don't care about that, but let's hear it just for the sake of others.
Ring Brett Kavanaugh's 2018 Supreme Court confirmation process, multiple women publicly accused him of sexual misconduct. Most prominent allegations came from 1. Christine Blasey Ford accused Kavanaugh of attempting to assault her at a high school party in 1982. She testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee detailing the alleged incident. 2. Chart 6 ABC Philadelphia jed that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her during a college party at Yale in the 1980s. She reported the incident to New Yorker, though some classmates reportedly denied the event. Julie Swetnick claimed Wikipedia sent at parties West was gang-raped and that he engaged in inappropriate behavior. Her allegations were made through attorney Michael Alv of TI. In addition to these 3 women, there were other Al. The Guardian U letter. An anonymous letter accused Kavanaugh of sexual assault in 1998. Later, Judy Munn Layton admitted to fabricating the story and was referred for investigation. Max Stier, a Yale classmate alleged witnessing Kavanaugh at a drunken dorm. Wikipedia shed his penis into female student's hand. This incident was reportedly communicated to the FBI during Kavanaugh's 2018 confirmation process, but what investigated? Kavanaugh has consistently denied all allegations, asserting that they were politically motivated. The Axios investigation into the claims, which has been criticized for not fully pursuing all leads. For a comprehensive overview of the allegations and Kavanaugh's responses, you can refer to the following source, The Guardian.
Okay, so the Guardian had a story, but let me see one more thing here. Does he support bans on abortion? And if so, how? Let's see here. Okay, so he supports restrictions on abortions, but I just wanted to hear how, because this is also one of those important things in the U.S. government. I personally feel like women have the right to control their own bodies for health reasons and other reasons, not just physical health, but mental health too. I mean, you shouldn't get raped and then be forced to have the baby, which is actually things that happen, just like women are being forced to keep fetuses in their body that are slowly dying and sending out chemicals that are killing the mother's body, which is crazy. But let's listen.
Yes, Brett Kavanaugh supports restrictions on abortion, and his record suggests he favors limiting or overturning Roe v. Wade. Here's a breakdown of how he approaches this issue. Number 1. Judicial philosophy and originalism. Kavanaugh describes himself as an originalist, meaning he interprets the Constitution based on its text and the understanding of the framers. In practice, this philosophy tends to favor state-level regulation over federally protected abortion rights, giving states more leeway to restrict abortion. SCOTUSblog.com. Please open your app to see this link. 2. Statements during confirmation. During his 2018 Supreme Court confirmation hearings, Kavanaugh stated he believes Roe v. Wade is precedent and should generally be followed. but he also acknowledged that precedent can be revisited in future cases. He did not explicitly commit to overturning Roe, but indicated openness to reviewing cases that could limit abortion rights. nytimes.com. Please open your app to see this link. How 3. Prior rulings and writings. As a federal appellate judge on the D.C. Circuit, Kavanaugh concurred in decisions allowing certain restrictions on abortion providers, expressed skepticism about broad constitutional protections for abortion that prevent states from imposing some regulations. Some legal scholars see his record as consistent with supporting state-level abortion restrictions rather than a full federal ban. Heritage.org. Please open your app to see this link.
So you see, what's really happening is when he was being confirmed, he was for states deciding. But once he got confirmed and Congress, the majority Republican Congress, brought a ban to his desk, he voted in favor of it. You see, and this has been the story of a lot of people that were appointed by Trump. You know, Kash Patel flip-flop. He believed one thing before he became the head of the FBI, and then changed around. He said he was going to release the files, Epstein files. Then he totally flipped his mind on a number of things. When they asked him, are you going to go after Trump's political opponents? Hell no. Why would I do that? That would be against the Constitution. Not verbatim, but he said something that's essentially that. Then when he got in office, that's Pam Bondi. That's all these Trump folks, like straight up. But let me hear one more thing. And I'm sure Kavanaugh was also appointed by Trump, but let's listen.
In the most recent Supreme Court decision related to abortion, Justice Brett Kavanaugh voted to preserve access to the abortion pill mifepristone in June 2024. Court unanimously ruled that the plaintiffs' anti-abortion doctors and organizations lacked the legal standing to challenge the FDA's approval and regulations of the drug. The decision maintained the FDA's 2016 and 2021 steps to ease the prescription and distribution of mifepristone, including allowing its use up to 10 weeks of pregnancy and permitting mail-order delivery. Due time DL courts were not the appropriate venue for addressing the opponent's concerns, highlighting the importance of legal standing in such cases. This ruling marked the Supreme Court AP News.
Okay, so they're saying he actually preserved it. So let me see. Roe versus Wade. Turned over. Just to be thorough about this, I want to see since I have this up. Okay, that was in 2022, right? Dobbs versus Jackson was overturned, right? Okay. And let's see here. Okay, that was Dobbs versus Jackson. That was 6-3. So right. So he was part of overturning Roe versus Wade, essentially. Now, because of this being overturned, have women been forced to have to carry babies by alleged rapist, right? And also have any women died because of not being able to have an abortion. So let me just get this clear. Let me see, because maybe he's clean, but so far this is how I'm seeing it. Like, so here we are. So just to be clear, y'all, because this is what his vote did, you know, and they can be very meticulous about a lot of the, you know, specifics regarding Roe versus Wade and what that did, but in all actuality, here's what you got out of that vote Kavanaugh gave. So
In the aftermath of the Supreme Court's 2022 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, there have been documented cases where women have been compelled to carry pregnancies resulting from rape to term, and instances where women have died due to restricted access to abortion services. Women forced to carry pregnancies resulting from rape. In 8 with near-total abortion bans, including Texas, Many survivors of rape are unable to access abortion services, even when the law provides exceptions for such cases.
So that's kind of, the Kavanaugh thing. He sees himself as one who protects, where's this window at? Yeah, that protects, in some way, he was saying before, he protects it on the state level. He believes the state level should be the ones that decide, not the federal government. But when it came to Roe versus Wade and choices like that, he decided the federal government decides over a woman's body. And that no, in fact, even if they are raped, they should be made to have the baby. See, he decided this. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could get rid of all of this shit by passing something for women that covers these kind of things, but they didn't think of it. But they didn't think of it at all. It wasn't an issue. So let's keep going now. Sorry to get off track.
Violent, warrantless raids and stops all over the country to undocumented immigrants, lawful residents, and American citizens alike. Like Leonardo Garcia Venegas. You see him there, being cuffed roughly by ICE agents on a construction site where he was working. Vargas showed the agents his real ID as proof of citizenship, and they told him he was lying. And it took hours to get him out of custody, so not exactly expeditious. And then, get this, 2 weeks later, ICE arrested him again at another work site. He's now suing the government. The consequence of all this is what we're seeing now
Hold on.
Let
me hear that again.
And it took hours. You see him there. The individual they stopped is immigration raids, halting the lower court's decision, saying, go ahead. Now, they gave no reasoning or explanation for their decision, silent, except Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote a short concurring opinion saying there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with racially motivated stops by law enforcement.
This is the same thing with the Roe versus Wade thing. There's no problem with it, but then people die. People get hurt, and the people that said don't do it, folks will get hurt. He was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
Quote, if the officers learn the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the U.S., they promptly let the individual go. Welcome to the era of what critics call the Kavanaugh stop. Carte blanche for ICE to continue violent, warrantless raids and stops all over the country to undocumented immigrants, lawful residents, and American citizens alike.
Yep.
Like Leonardo Garcia Venegas. You see him there, being cuffed roughly by ICE agents on a construction site where he was working. Vargas showed the agents his real ID as proof of citizenship, and they told him he was lying. And it took hours to get him out of custody, so not exactly expeditious. And then, get this, 2 weeks later, ICE arrested him again at another work site. He's now suing the government.
And he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid because they were wrong, and they can't provide any means of, there's no reasoning for them to stop it other than actually racially profiling them. And even though Justice Kavanaugh might say that you can do that, but you also can't. Not if you literally tell them you just saw him because of his race and you stopped him twice. Okay, so in other words, nobody has any civil rights anymore. No Americans have any civil rights anymore when it comes to the police. Because for you to make exceptions for this, your reasoning essentially will strip away every other right. Just like that. They're all strung together. They're all tied together. So this interaction with police and authorities, you're basically saying, if you uphold this arrest, you're basically saying you don't have any right when you're dealing with the police in the United States of America.
The consequence of all this is what we're seeing now in the dead of night in Chicago.
And only the United States of America in the Western world. Citizens of other countries aren't worried about this, aren't dealing with this matter. It's American citizens that voted to have this the way that they want it for themselves. And if it is for some that are citizens, it's for all. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Always. What is fair means everybody gotta be treated this way.
Dozens of federal agents raiding an entire apartment building with kids in it just to see what they can find. It's the most egregious abuse of our basic rights as Americans I've seen in a long time, maybe my lifetime. And it comes 2 weeks after Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem posted a hype video of another violent ICE raid with helicopters and grenades, this time on a house in the Chicago suburbs. And guess what? 2 U.S. citizens were mistakenly arrested. You know, there's a reason the American founders put the right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures in the Bill of Rights from the start. Masked secret police profiling people and now targeting entire apartment buildings, making everyone prove they're not guilty of something, is the province of tyrants. It is the opposite.
In any case, Americans know that this is some tyrant bullshit. Everybody knows. It's not even it's not something people have to guess anymore, and it's also not something people are confused about anymore. You know what you're doing when you are doing it. You know it. And at this point, you know it. You see what I mean? There's no way that you don't know it at this point anymore. It's not something you can be like, oops, I didn't know it was an accident. No, you've been working slowly, progressively towards it. And you have some supporters in the beginning and you lost some, but you still have enough supporters to where they're not confused. The dialogue has gone on. The debate has happened. It's been open to the public, largely for most of it. Simple matter of, do you still want to maintain civil rights or not across the United States of America? And this administration believes you shouldn't. And that's what is going on. And he is going to continue to strip more civil rights. And eventually it's going to get to the gun part. The closer this government feels like it is to being caught and charged with a crime, that's how close he's going to get to banning, the Second Amendment, like straight up. The closer he gets to stopping elections for any reason whatsoever, the closer he is to the Second Amendment. The closer he is to any of this shit around the elections, gerrymandering, the closer he is, to this election, the closer he is to banning. I'm telling you, Trump is very afraid of the American people. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel are very afraid of that, because that what exists in the United States of America makes Americans very different from all over Western states, but all other countries in the world. That's not by accident. The reasoning is explained in the Constitution, and it's also explained by other Second Amendment advocates from the beginning of the country. It is there to defend yourself against a tyrant. If that person is in the United States, that's the tyrant part. If it's outside, then it's a foreign attack, right? Other nations, fine. But if it's inside, it's from an attack or in a movement, it's from a tyrant or a movement that is essentially committing treason. That's what it's for. That's oppressing the people. That's killing the American people. That's attacking the American people. So on that note, everybody knows what it is. It might be one thing on paper. It might be one thing Justice Kavanaugh want to discuss in the courts, and the rest of them, you might want to discuss a lot of different aspects of it and a lot of different angles of it and be off in the corner regions. But the center of it is your civil rights. First, Second Amendment, and others. The right to control your own body and make choices over yourself as long as you're not hurting anybody else. These kind of things. The right to live in peace without the police always stopping you. The right to not be over policed. Right now, city populations are way over policed. People that want to commit all the crimes you want in underpopulated states they can get away with anything because there's no fucking police checking. There's no police checking. In a lot of places, there's zero fucking police. Maybe that's where all the dope is getting stashed. Maybe that's where all the fentanyl is. You ever think of that? Maybe it's not in the cities after all. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you were a criminal, you'd want to hide in an underpopulated state because, hey, where the fuck are the police? Nobody's here to see us do this deal. No cameras here, just us two. You see what I'm saying? So, in any case, times are ticking. We're going to see. I am for the shutdown. I say if it's good for the goose and you want to fuck up people's lives and you happy and you salivate all over it, well then, hey, fuck it. I may as well enjoy the shit too from my view, from my perspective, from my panorama. You know what I'm saying? And because why? If that's what you like and prefer, then hey, why should I take that? I should join you, right? I should join the MAGA people and clap, right? MAGA people getting fucked up. Yay! ICE not getting paid, getting furloughed. Hoorah! Yes, yeah. Let's fuck it all up. Let's stop everybody from making a living. Why not? I'm happy some ICE agent won't be able to pay their motherfucking rent or their mortgage this week. I'm glad you won't get health care either when your fucking family gets sick. Yay! Yay! I'm MAGA. Yay, y'all. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna be back in a few hours, y'all. This was fun, but I did come on at the wrong timing. I'm sorry, I was a little off time today, but I'll be back today, so y'all be good. Everybody, enjoy your sleep if you're in the US. In the EU, enjoy your morning and the rest of your day. I'll be back in a few. Peace, y'all. One. And what's this? Release the Epstein files. Peace.
I know how to see a whack MC when he mustn't, but I just back away real cool, no fussing. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds, open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you. Despite the system trying to clamp down on the people will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities of different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey, kinda like Sigourney. Employ me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. Here's the card, they call me Uncle Vigor. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I be the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange. The whole concept, yo, is good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics. Yes, atomic, it bleeds like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the robotic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in a prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable dictions. My style might vary. So get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Every dog chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb a ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. So follow him, the one who protects ya. And the mother, she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature, the people respect ya. And in this way I deliver my lecture.